So, Dune Part 2, it is really, really good. It's been compared to The Empire Strikes Back, and I think that's a fair comparison. In terms of plot, it ends very much in success, in outward success at least, for the main characters. But in terms of tone, the emotional desolation, then yeah, absolutely, Empire Strikes Back is a great comparison. There's a lot going on in this movie, in this book series, in this cinematic universe. There's enough suggestions in Dune Part 2 of a wider universe for it to be interesting, but not so much that it feels overwhelming. It continues the story of the Fremen fighting for their freedom against the Harkonnens. We've got lots of the trippy stuff with the spice that was established in the first movie. Lots of great, great visuals. The only thing that looks a little bit odd, maybe the kangaroo mouse that Paul Atreides names himself after, looks a little bit plastic. But just after we see that, there's a beautiful contrasting shot. The shadow of the helicopter flitting across the sand in the same way that the mouse did. It's very beautiful. So visually, yes, completely on point. Where it maybe doesn't quite work is with Paul Atreides, as played by Timothee Chamalet. Both Paul Atreides and his mother. It's kind of a bit of a situation like Bran Stark in the later seasons of Game of Thrones. By the end of the movie, what's actually left of these two characters as we knew them in the first movie? Both of the actors are great. Rebecca Ferguson, I think, is particularly good as the Bene Gesserit priest, Paul Atreides' mother, the Reverend Mother, the advisor to the Fremen. Who is it she ends up being exactly? There's lots of questions about her character, but it's not done in an unsatisfying way. It's done in a way that makes the world of the movie seem wider and deeper than just this story. Partway through the movie, both the Reverend Mother and Paul drink juice taken from the sandworms. Yeah, I suppose the worm juice, it's a little bit like magical bullshit juice, but it's part of the lore, the sandworms, so I'm willing to kind of accept that, I guess. Paul Atreides and his mother gradually lose themselves in the context of the wider military and political fights that they have. And to be honest, this transition was a little bit too abrupt for me. I could sympathise with Chani, who was seeing them slipping away, but they slipped away too fast. It felt a little bit too neat. Like that sense of personal loss wasn't completely played up enough. We learn a little more about the Bene Gesserit, this female priesthood, where they seem to have insinuated themselves into all the major aristocratic houses of the empire. It seems like this kind of dynastic strategy that they've pushed themselves into fails when it comes to the maternal instincts of the priestesses. Seems like a bit of a flaw in the organisation, but I guess you could argue that that adds to its longevity. Apparently, within the Dune universe, it's been around for thousands of years, and I guess one way to do that is to have people born into it rather than recruiting them. Javier Bardem is probably my favourite performance of the movie. I love how his character devolves over the course of the two movies. He starts off as this mentor character who's teaching Paul how to live in the desert. But by the end of part 2, just this puppyish, unquestioning religious follower. It's really interesting. Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck is similar. Sees everything through a power politics lens, explicitly wants revenge against the Harkonnens for what they did to the Atreides family. And then in the middle, you've got Paul Atreides himself, pushed by different people for different reasons, but all in the same direction. Paul Atreides, as a protagonist, doesn't really exist by the end of the movie. He's just a shell, a vehicle for the ambitions of those around him. The only character who's actually interested in Paul Atreides as a person is Chani, played by Zendaya. This is kind of Chani's movie. It's a great portrayal of heartbreak. It's a great portrayal of trying to hold on to a person who's changing. In fact, it's not kind of Chani's movie. By the end, it's completely her movie. It's basically her story. As the people who were the good guys in part 1, if you give it a charitable interpretation, are at least morally compromised. And Zendaya herself does a great job in the role, I think. Yeah, I can't wait for Dune Part 3. I'm really looking forward to it. After the first movie, the ending of the first movie, it was okay. It was just about acceptable. But this one, it's absolutely landed it. Go and check it out. Thanks for watching.